How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. We need to talk about CleanSpark today because they just gave an update. We can kind of reverse engineer what their revenue will look like, give or take, for this last quarter. And there's some good stuff and there's some bad stuff. So the good stuff is this quarter that we're in right now is actually going to be pretty good. We expected that, but now they're giving us some updates on it, and they have been increasing mining capacity very quickly. They're doing really well in the grid side of their business. But the quarter that we're going to hear about, the second quarter that ended in June, that's going to be pretty rough. So we're going to take a look at some of the numbers here. It's going to be rough compared to what estimates were, but it's still better than the last quarter. So let's look at it. If you guys don't mind just hitting the like button, I appreciate it. I apologize if there's an echo. I'm here with the doggo, so she's sleeping underneath my feet. Need to be careful because I don't want to disturb her and make her crazy. So let's take a look. CleanSpark provides updates on Bitcoin mining and energy operations. They are mining about 6 Bitcoin a day right now. So this is awesome, right? They're producing 6 Bitcoin per day at the current difficulty rates. However, they say that at the end of the month, they think that they will have another 1.4 Bitcoin a day, which is 7.4. Now, we are expecting 9 to 10 Bitcoin, I believe, by September. Now, if we're talking about early September, then we're not going to hit that, right? Because we're going to be at 7.4. If we're talking about end of September, they're going to get more of these mining units, and then they're going to be able to produce about 9.3 per day at current difficulty. So if we're talking end of September, I would expect them to be up to 9.3. Also, though, the difficulty will actually go up because I think a lot of miners will be in new places. They will start mining again from the exodus in China. So I would not be surprised if this fell down to maybe 8, maybe a little bit less than 8 even as of September or October. Now, I could be wrong, but they're going to keep on getting more miners, so their revenue is going to continue to increase. Also, I'm pretty bullish on Bitcoin. So we'll take a look at this, but we can reverse engineer this and take a look at what they've mined so far for the last quarter that's going to be announced here in the next few days. They said that they mined about 147.8 Bitcoins during the month of July, which is about 5 a day, just short of 5 a day. And cumulatively, they've mined more than 520 Bitcoin since they acquired the ATL miner. Now, if we look at a bunch of their old releases, I've dialed it into about 197.2 Bitcoin for this second quarter. Now, I could always be wrong. It could be a couple off, but that's the number I came up to. Now, at 45,000 a day, because they sell some of these as time goes on, that is about 8.8 or 8.9 million. Now, again, it could be plus or minus, 10% or something like that. I could always be wrong. But looking at what they did last quarter, they actually had about 1.4 million in their revenue from the other side of their business. And I think this is kind of conservative that they would have the same quarter that they did last quarter. But let's assume another 1.4 million. That puts them over 10 million for the quarter. So that's actually a little bit lower than I had expected previously because we're only mining just over 2 Bitcoin a day for this last quarter. But difficulty rates were higher. They've been adding miners the whole time. So the fact is that it was lower than I expected. I thought we would be more around 3 Bitcoin a day. We were actually at 2.1 or 2.2. So overall, 10.02 million in revenue. Now, as of last quarter, they had only about 8.1. So that's still a 25% increase from last quarter, but it's not like the blowout quarter that we expected. Now, I think this whole press release is kind of like hey, we're doing really well in July, but last quarter isn't going to be a great quarter when you hear it in a few days. They said that we have already produced nearly 70% of the Bitcoins that were mined over the entire prior quarter just in July. And they expect to get a bunch of new miners in the next 12 months. They talk about how they're 95% carbon free. CleanSpark's energy and microgrid business unit has over 180 batteries on more than 50 California locations during the month of July, a significant increase over the prior entire quarter's total residential battery installations of just 52. So they tripled this, right? Unaudited revenues generated from residential energy solutions for the month of July was equal to 80% of the total revenue for the of the total energy revenue for the entire quarter ended June 30. So they have the numbers, they're waiting to release them. I'd expect in the next few days, but they're showing, hey, we still did great this last month, and we're expecting a really good quarter here moving forward. So I think that using 1.4 million probably is a good number to use just to show, hey, they might not have great revenue on this side of their business, but it's going to increase here soon for the third quarter. Now, they also talked about some bad things. So our growth has not been without challenges. However, the company successfully navigated the volatility of Bitcoin, managed supply chain constraints, and resolved a legal dispute. So they did resolve this. Additionally, we will be able to aggressively expand our sales and marketing efforts and increase the labor force for energy products. However, they say, like all companies that hold a large amount of digital currency, they're going to have some issues because of the intangible assets, because of the US accounting rules. So they will probably show a loss on this side of their balance sheet because they didn't realize any gains or anything like that, and they actually had unrealized losses. We are also required to value certain investments at the end of each reporting period. As a result of market volatility in both Bitcoin and other investments last quarter, we anticipate reporting losses on the impairment of Bitcoin and recognizing unrealized losses on certain investments. We also incurred costs related to employee pay and stock-based compensation that were largely one-time events. These activities and other growth-based initiatives contributed to non-cash and one-time cash expenses last quarter that will have a negative impact on the reported results for the prior fiscal quarter. So that does not sound good. So they say that, again, because of the way that Bitcoin's accounted for and because of their growth-based initiatives and stock-based compensation, it's not going to look good on their quarterly results. However, I think they are still going to show good growth going forward. So if I had to guess, I think that this is going to be pretty bad for their earnings. However, they have fallen a little bit today, so I think there's going to be a softening there where, hey, if they post maybe 11 or 12 million in revenue, people will be excited. But I think that, again, they're softening the blow. It might be a big loss quarter, right? Because we actually had positive earnings per share last quarter. You can see diluted of about 0.22 or 22 cents. That was awesome. However, that was not from their operations. They still had a $2.5 million loss. Unrealized gain on derivative security was $8.4 million. So they're showing a loss, in my opinion, this quarter. I think it could be bad for the company, but they're still growing. They're still a growth company. They have a price to sales as of this next quarter, I believe, of about 11. If we take the run rate of 40 million or so, and I think it'll go up a lot in the next year. They have a market cap of 440, so price to sales of 11. However, if we start looking at, over the next 12 months, the lowest that they're going to mine is 6 Bitcoin a day, most likely, because again, we're at that point now. And the highest, they want to get to 18 a day by next summer. So let's say the average is 12 a day, and I think it'll be actually higher than that for the coming 12 months because of the fact that we expect to get up to 9 by September. So let's say it's 12 though, and Bitcoin is around the same price that it is now, 40,000. That means every day they're producing almost 500,000. So that times 365, that is 175 million. That does not include the grid part of their business, which I think will ramp up. So let's say that produces another 30 million or so. I believe that's maybe what they said that they were expecting over the entire year, or maybe it was 20. We'll say it's 10 just to be conservative, right? $10 million. It's 185 million. Now I could go back through the numbers. I've said them before, but for the grid side of their business, but 185.2 million at this market cap. It's a price to sales ratio of 2.5 maybe. So not very high for a company that's growing so quickly. And again, they're going to increase their revenue exponentially, right? We're talking about them having 45 million in revenue every single quarter, which is a large increase from here, 300% growth, 350% growth. So in my opinion, I am not worried about CleanSpark over the long term. Short term, I could see some big red days. Over the last month, we had a 1 month low of right around $12.40, an intraday low. I would not expect it to retest that, or I would not be surprised if it retested that level. I could always be wrong though. I'm not going to sell trying to time it or anything like that. I will just be ready for the volatility. I have some cash on the sidelines. The reason I'm not selling it is because I don't have a crystal ball. If they repeat or if they report 12, 13 million, or maybe they have, just not a big miss over the quarter, but just a zero earnings for the quarter, then maybe they move up a little bit. Maybe they're unmoved at all. I don't want to sell because I think there's too much potential over the long term, and I'm too bullish on Bitcoin and on CleanSpark over the long term to risk trying to save a couple extra pennies on the share price. Now, like I said, I could always be wrong, right? I am not trying to time this out. I'm not trying to day trade this and buy it back in 3 days or anything like that. So, like I said, do your research, but that's what we got as a report from today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want, there is a link underneath the video to try out Webull to get some free stocks. Thank you guys for checking that out. They are adding a lot to their platform, so definitely check that out if you want to get some free money. Just deposit $100. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.